Hey, how's it going there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at out here today. It is the Earthmaster on this end of the microphone with an update video here on this Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, about 10:01 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the globe shows a 1.2 into the Alaska or the California area. Also a 2.5 here across the Mediterranean region. Starting off here along the west coast. Did see a little bit of further activity out here, although I think this is from yesterday out on the Gorda Ridge. So really nothing new out across this specific area, but down south here along the Cascadia subduction zone, they added a quake from yesterday. This wasn't here last night, otherwise I would have seen it. But 1.8 coming in to the area upstream where the locked area is along the Cascadia subduction zone. Not a big earthquake, but still, it is right there in the region where we expect, the most strain to be accumulated in terms of this major subduction zone. We have the not GeoNet, but let's go over here to the tremor map here tonight, from yesterday actually, I should say. Shows a little bit of tremor activity here, specifically in this region of interest, right across from where this earthquake struck here, this 1.8. So obviously we got some strain building up here. You get some tremor activity, adding further strain, starting to notice a little bit of earthquake activity upstream around the locked area, which has happened before. We've seen a handful of smaller quakes do that similar type of activity before. Nothing major, but still, obviously some sign of some activity stirring up there across the Cascadia. Mount St Helens, all this activity from yesterday, but I do want to double check the Mount St Helens seismograph station myself and see what's going on out there in terms of earthquake activity. I can't remember if this is the one that works or the other one. Let's see here. Takes a long time for some reasons. There we go. It's working now. Okay. A handful of earthquakes out here. Going to be these well-defined spiky areas right here. A few of them. Some type of environmental noise here on these other ones. They don't look like earthquakes, but definitely in these well-defined spikes, they are earthquakes. And there's a few of them out there. USGS posted a few from yesterday. Nothing yet from today, but I do see a handful of smaller quakes in that area. We'll check back on that tonight, see if they add any more. 2.3 from yesterday. Northern California, pretty quiet up here today. See if we got anything kicking up overnight. I think a lot of this activity is from yesterday, so relatively quiet conditions prevailing out here. I mean, yes, we have earthquakes, but really nothing of any major interest right now. 2.5 map and above. Well, it removes all of the earthquakes here from today, only shows a handful from yesterday. Out further into the states here, Yellowstone National Park, not showing anything at all. Let's double check, verify it. Not for sure what this noise right here is. It almost looks like earthquake activity, but it's not lined up with the other seismograph stations here, so hard to say what that is. Some type of noise, could be network noise, something on that side of things. As far as earthquake activity, very spotty at best. Not a whole lot to report there across Yellowstone National Park. Texas, Oklahoma, same thing. Just getting the oil fields hit out there. Really nothing of major interest. Out on the Big Island here of Hawaii. A lot of this activity from yesterday, a handful from today. Still seeing, mostly shallow earthquake activity up here around the summit region, just below the surface of Kilauea Volcano. I know we're getting, I keep saying that we're getting close to a breaking point, and it's got to be. I mean, it may hang on for a little while, but eventually things have to advance in terms of whether we're seeing a magma displacement somewhere or an eruptive fissure event take place there in the area. Just a matter of time. The tilt meter out here, let's check out the deformation data, see what we have overnight. Still going up. Still going up. Here's a past week, past month. I know they did that adjustment here a week back. To me, it looks like they may have just smoothed out the choppiness of the graph here, which might, for some, give a little bit better perspective here of whether we're going up or down on a trend line instead of a wavy type deal. But either way, we're still going up. Still at the highest level observed around the summit since 2018. So that should tell us something right there, that we're getting close. Getting close. New Zealand had a 5.1 down here. This is, 4.9, excuse me. That was early this morning. 5.1 way up into the Tonga area. These guys, well, still fairly quiet overnight. I was expecting a little bit more earthquake activity to rock this area. But we did see one 5.1 in our quiet zone. I say quiet zone because we're lacking about 4 days of earthquake activity here. It's been seismically non-existent in terms of earthquakes. So I'm sure we'll fill this back in eventually. New Zealand itself looks like a 3 or so down there underneath the North Island area once again. Relatively quiet. If you look at global activity out here in the last 24 hours, it's been it looks a little bit less active out here today. Normally we got huge clustering going on here across the Indonesia Islands area, Philippines region. Just minimal today. Did see another deep earthquake here, 4.6 up into the Izu Trench. That's going to be, let's see here, EMSC is the only one that's reporting it. 150 kilometers deep. Now, if you remember, this area did see some deeper activity in the last couple days or so, 2 days. We've seen that deep 6.2 and then a subsequent 4.3. And it does look like we're straining this area here. This 4.4 was from, about 6 days or so ago. I was expecting to see further larger scale movement up here, but it doesn't look like it's taken place yet. But with this 4.6 coming in there today, obviously it's a sign of some further increasing strain along this plate boundary, that subduction zone. Let's see, Alaska, 2s and 3s. Really, I don't think we got anything major going on out here. No unusual activity. 2.5 map and above. Well, 2s and 3s appear to be the magic number out there today. The South America area, I believe these are from yesterday. Really nothing new coming in as far as any larger quake activity goes. They're always going to see some 2s and whatnot, but there's a whole lot of red rings here on the globe indicating older activity. Late last night, we did see a 5.1 out into the South Pacific or South Atlantic Ocean area and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And of course, Iceland was seeing a pretty good swarm of activity north there along the plate boundary, along these fracture zones yesterday. So let's see what we have today. A little bit quieter, at least in the last 12 hours. Really no major uptick that I can see here on the map. Of course, we're still rising up here in terms of land rise and inflation across the Svartsengi area of Iceland down there around the Reykjanes Peninsula. Let's check out the inflation data here real quick, see what we got. Vertical displacement taken off. In fact, the last run is quite higher than the previous few runs, so we could be in an accelerated type event here where we should see an eruption, or at least getting close to an eruption again across this region soon enough. This is the vertical displacement right here. There's the last run time, quite elevated. Space weather activity out here, well, we're dipping down into the sea flare category consistently. Not a whole lot of threats going on in terms of any major flaring going on. This is a little odd looking image here, not used to it being so green, but it looks like they messed with the color a little bit. Either way, we do have a number of active regions coming around the eastern limb, but they are it looks like they're in a decay state. Very quiet, at least in terms of any major advancement and complexity. So really not expecting much here. This is that region that did produce that long duration M flare a couple days ago, but looking at it, there's not a whole lot of hope for this one. This area right here, almost directly facing us, harbors a little bit of potential. But, overall the trend right now looks to be minor to maybe somewhat moderate risk for some flaring. 99% chance for C flare, M flare at 40, X flare still at 5%, but I don't think that's probable. The only growing sunspot here, it looks like, according to the solarham.com site, is going to be the Beta Gamma 3738, which is going to be this region right here. So it's been going through a couple different stages. Hopefully it can get its act together and maybe produce a significant flare or two while it's in the Earth-directed view. Some type of plasma prominence activity out here on the far northeastern limb. A lot of times these will blast off and produce some space weather activity if it's, blasted off in the Earth-directed view, but it's kind of holding on out there on the northeastern limb right now. No major roars in the forecast, and that is that's how it is right now. There's not a whole lot of major change going on there with that forecast. Let's check out the asteroid approaches here, see if we got anything major coming in. As far as close approaches, doesn't look like it. July 9th. It's going to be today. 100-foot asteroid coming in, airplane size. Yeah, but look at that distance, fairly safe. That's over 2. Yeah, that's quite a bit. I don't see anything of major close approach here for now, so we'll just pass on those. We got some big ones coming up, but they're relatively safe distance. Storm Prediction Center out here today. A lot of the remnants of Beryl now working its way up to the Ohio Valley area. It is bringing with it a decent chance for tornado activity with a 10% risk for tornadoes. Yesterday, I was looking on the weather pages out here. There was over 100 issued tornado warnings from the National Weather Service associated with Beryl yesterday. So, goodness, crazy how these hurricanes can stir up the severe weather. Not a whole lot of hail, not a whole lot of wind, mainly just a decent tornado threat out here today across this area. Louisville, Kentucky, Evansville, Owensboro, these regions. Even if you're out in the 2% zone in the green, stay weather aware today. There's our leftover moisture there associated with that low pressure now. And that is going to work its way further to the northeast and eventually dissipate. So what do we have for any further tropical development? Right now, it doesn't look like a whole lot. Let's check out the National Hurricane Center here. Eastern Pacific looks pretty quiet. No expected tropical development. Central Pacific out here around Hawaii. Nothing expected there. The Atlantic Ocean. Well, aside from Beryl, post-tropical cyclone Beryl, that looks pretty quiet for now. I know we have a whole lot of Saharan dust coming over. That could inhibit the potential for tropical development. Oftentimes it does. But, again, we'll keep an eye on things and see what develops here as we head deeper into the summertime. All right, folks. Like I said, aside from that, there's not a whole lot of major earthquake activity going on out here today. A handful of, moderate movement, but overall, it still looks like there's a swarm going on down here in the Baja California area. Right here, a couple earthquakes continuing overnight. I'm going to bring up the EMSC model here real quick and see what we have. Which is over here. Yeah, see, there's still quite a bit of earthquake activity stirring up here in the Baja California region over the last week and last couple days. We've seen an increasing area of concern. Last 24 hours right here does show a handful of them. So USGS really not reporting anything. The globe is, which is EMSC and USGS combination. But that's kind of why I like to use the EMSC model on here as well, because it shows areas of some concern with the swarming going on. Looks like they did have a 4.2 further into the Gulf as well in the last 24 hours, and the Gulf of California, and USGS not reporting that. So this is, I like to watch what's going on out here across the plate boundary within the Gulf, because ultimately what goes on down here has an adverse effect up north in terms of increasing movement. So with this continued activity here in the Gulf and the Baja California area, we will keep the earthquake watch here for Southern California up. Even though it's somewhat quiet right now, we still got swarming just south of the area, which could intensify the movement further up north here into this area. Have a good day, folks. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening. Take care.